How's it going today?
It's going well. It's so nice to talk to you. I definitely want to talk lots of Primo, but you need to know that I've been wanting to talk to you since 2021, because I'm a huge Bosch fan.
Oh, okay. I'm awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so Emmanuel Trejo, um, definitely an important figure in that scene with how the plot went down. And for our Bosch fans that listen to the podcast too, I did want to ask you, what was it like going head to head with Titus Welliver in some of those one-on-one scenes? Because Trejo had a really strong personality and Bosch has a lot of bravado.
Yeah. I remember shooting that. It was like right in the middle of the pandemic, pretty much.
Yeah,
It was the first show that I worked on. I wouldn't even say post-COVID because it was kind of like we were still in the middle of it. Everyone was still wearing a mask on set. Um, so it was kind of a challenge. But I was a fan of Titus because I was a huge fan of Sons of Anarchy.
yep,
Told him like, hey man, I used to love the show. You were on the show, and then he's just kind of a powerhouse.
sure.
So uh, everyone on that show is just like there's a little intimidation, right? Because he just has a presence about him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I just knew I had to bring it. I just had to bring it, and I had to really go for it. And I remember when we were shooting that stuff, it just I probably went even further than I thought I would go. At the end of that scene, when they put me into the police car,
yeah.
I ended up spitting on the glass. That wasn't like scripted. I just did it.
Wow.
It was kind of like it just felt like the character was just like so heated that he would do this thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I remember on the glass inside the car, and they were like, "Cut!" And they opened the door, and they were like, "Damn!" And then Titus was like, "Man, this dude really wants to go home."
Yeah, for sure.
I think we got the take. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So,
were you were in the character, man. Deep.
yeah, sometimes you get locked in it, and it just stuff happens. But he's such a
Oh, that's
great.
great.
So funny because he's hilarious on set. He's such a funny guy. And he plays such a serious role in the show, but he's cracking jokes like all day.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I understand. That's good to hear. That's fun. All right. Well, let's get into some Primo because I'm a huge fan. I've talked to the other actors who play the uncles, so I've told them all. I've watched three times through. On my fourth now, with my husband and son, bringing them on board, and just a really big fan. And I feel like the show has had a really great response from viewers. What do you think resonates so well with the audience about the show?
well, first off, Tracy, thank you so much for watching the three times. I really appreciate that. We need that. And I honestly, like I would just say is that I think why it's reaching so many people is because at the core of the show itself, the story is really just about a family, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
The dramas within a family, coming of age story of a kid trying to find his way, college, young love, all these different things that are happening in his life. And I think people connect with it because we all have people that are giving us unsolicited advice in our
Hmm.
own typically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll relate to those situations, especially when we're young. And while the show is a full Latino cast, it doesn't necessarily make that the center of attention. You
Right.
know, and that's what makes it so relatable to so many different people.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Have you done much comedy before, Primo? I mean, I've seen you like I said in Bosch, so not comedy. What have you done that before?
Yeah, it's so funny because when I first moved to LA, I was pursuing comedy. I was doing comedic improv.
Awesome.
I,
Okay.
I was performing weekly. We had monthly shows at the Comedy Store doing comedic improv, and that was kind of like what I was really drawn to. And I was doing that for a
Okay.
long time, but I ended up booking a lot of dramatic parts, so it kind of just stayed in that lane.
Okay.
Uh, it really wasn't until like my first actual comedy credit was the TV show Insatiable on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
I had like like 2 episode part on that where I played like this Brazilian cartel guy. That was all comedy, and then Pam and Tommy I think was another lane too, where I started getting to do comedy there too as well. And then ironically enough, Primo the biggest part that I book ends up being a full on comedy from
Yeah.
Shea Serrano.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that happens. But yes, my most of my body of work has been drama.
Okay. Okay. Great. That's a really interesting journey how it's come back to the comedy. Now I have to ask, since I live in Atlanta, what do you think of Atlanta? Because Insatiable filmed here, correct?
Yeah, I've been to Atlanta many times actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I've shot out there quite a few times. Atlanta's great. I mean, it's a great city. It's very different than LA.
Yeah.
Uh, I love how green it is. That was one thing that I actually never knew because I never really been to Atlanta, but
Sure.
it's nice that it does feel I remember some of the places I stayed out there had like an actual porch.
Yeah. I love, yes. Porches are the best.
Have a cup of coffee sitting outside, and then the only difference I would say is you get that humid, sticky
Oh,
feeling, so
yeah,
rough,
for
but
sure.
nice. Yeah.
Good, good. Well, I'm glad to know that you've been out here. So one of my favorite scenes with Rolly, it's one of the funniest ones, that we've seen, but where he tells Rafa that he does not responsible for taking care of his mom.
Mhm.
And I think I just found that really interesting coming from Rolly, because we'd seen him so far just being funny, not so serious, maybe not the most mature of all the uncles. Um, why do you think that came from Rolly?
Well, I think it's just a testament to Shay and all the writing team on this. I think they could have easily made the majority of these characters very two-dimensional and not really give them a lot of complexities. But just a testament to his brilliance in the writing is from day one, like he really created these characters and gave them life, and what I love about Rolly is that, like, yes, he does have all these silly things that he says throughout the show, but then you see that there's a lot of moments he has, especially with Rafa, where he's imparting wisdom into him based on his own life experiences and his shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that that really is a testament to who that character is, and that he's able to go from like this like kind of silly guy, goofy, to a very sentimental, loving person. And at the end of the day, all he really cares about is his family.
Sure.
And I think that that's what's so awesome, and why the show is also resonating with people, because it's not just it has those goofy moments.
Yeah,
It's also very heartfelt. I've heard
absolutely.
it as the show feels like home.
Okay, yeah.
Very like I think that's a really cool adjective because I think that's what Shay was kind of going for, is like this is
Okay.
like based on his life, so it's like home for him, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I really enjoy that dichotomy. It makes the whole series so much richer to have both of that and some of that contrast. Now, speaking of some of Rolly's lines, again, this telling him he didn't have to take care of his mom, that was kind of some truth telling. But Rolly has some really good truth telling lines, like, yeah, that's how numbers work. He just says the obvious, night goggles. Yeah, you use them at night, and they
Right.
come across so well. Was that something? I mean, straight from the writing, the way you did that, or did you kind of add anything to the obviousness of some things?
Yeah, I mean, I think in like moments like that, like it's from an acting perspective, like specifically like that line, like that is how numbers work. The only way I feel like that line works is if my character actually believes that, like
Yeah.
very genuine about it. Like if someone's like 1920 and it's like a realization of like, yeah, that is how numbers work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's what makes it so funny, is because it didn't quite dawn on him and now he
Yeah.
realized that's right. He is right. And that's I think what makes it so funny. But that's just the writing, honestly. Like the writing
Yeah.
is good. Yeah, everybody on that show is just like every time we had a table read, it was hard to get through it because we're all reading it and like we're all putting our own little version of like what those lines are,
Yeah.
and the writers haven't heard them said out loud, and then when they see us do it, it's like, oh, like that just changes everything. So
Yeah. Well, I love that there's so many different kinds of humor. There's so many jokes. I mean, they're just rapid fire, but there's so many different kinds of humors from the different uncles. And so when you pair them together, and then in different pairings and different combinations, you get so many different varieties of funny. did you have a particular pairing or combination with the uncles that really was maybe one of your favorites?
Um, I don't know that I had a favorite specifically because everyone brought like a very like unique and different perspective to different.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll say the person that I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna say it because I've already been asked this question before in interviews. But if anybody on set that broke the most, it was me. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay.
I accepted it. I was very resistant to that. People would be like, "Did you break the most?" And I'm like, "No, it's not me. You guys." And then I'm gonna accept it and say that I was the one that
You're
broke all
gonna own it. Yeah. Okay.
the. Uh, because sometimes like handing across from somebody and you're trying to be serious and say this thing, and then they say something so ridiculous with such a straight face that you can't help but laugh. I would say the person that did that to me the most was Carlos.
Okay.
Certain times he would say something or like a facial tick or
Uh-huh.
whatever it is, and I would have a hard time looking at him. There was a one scene specifically where he knows the story, and we had a hard time on set with it. I had one line. All I had to say was, "It's time." That was my line. I had to step forward and say, "It's time." I was the second episode where we confront Rafa about his mom not being able to cook Mexican food.
Right.
Time, man, right? And then all he had to do was he had to sit up and say, "Are you sure?" or something like that. And every time he stood up and he looked at me so earnestly, I couldn't keep a straight face. We must have done that take I don't know how many times. I was like, "Hey, bro, you just got like, can you just like look past me, or I'm gonna look to the side of you because I can't even look at your face anymore."
That is so funny. I can totally see that happening. And like I've mentioned with the other guys, you guys are professionals. You can do this. I can't imagine trying to not break uh, in all these scenes. It's hysterical. We love it. I also talked to the other uncles about a theory I have about the five uncles having sort of five different gifts or superpowers that they're offering to Rafa, and so I feel pretty strongly that Rolly's would be justice, even though I think Rolly's still learning himself about the parameters of justice, so to speak. I
Yeah.
feel like that's really his stronghold about what he wants to carry, to pass along to Rafa in a responsible way. Do you agree with that sort of superpower?
I think that's pretty accurate because I mean he even has a line where he says, "I'm a vigilante for justice."
Yes.
So I think that that makes perfect sense because the character, again, while he's quick to throw a fist, and you hear him like in minor skirmishes in and out of jail. Um, the thing is, like, those situations happen because he's standing up for somebody, because he's protecting his family. It's not usually just for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So all those situations, like when he gets bailed out of jail that one time, he headbutted a guy at a strip club because he's trying to dine and dash.
Right.
Justice, right?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Do that, buddy. Can't do it. So yeah, I think that that's probably a pretty accurate description.
I think that plays so well too with the side of Rolly that is very kind and sensitive. The part in the jail cell where he's encouraging Viper
Yeah,
with the crossword. I mean, it's you I love it. It doesn't seem cheesy. It just seems so nice, and I love seeing that in contrast with Rolly's toughness sometimes. So that really works as well. Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions to close things out. No pressure. I've asked all the uncle actors these questions, so not that we're going to compare, but
what's up?
see what you have to say. Okay, so we have the big Gonzalez family barbecue. Great episode. What do you, Johnny, think is the best menu item someone can bring to a barbecue?
I'm gonna go with barbecue. I'm gonna go with an Impossible Burger. That's
I
my
love that. I love that. I would get one of those. You probably know, but another uncle brought up a vegetarian option.
yeah. Probably
So
Jonathan.
yes, Jonathan, exactly.
They are
Um,
the only vegans, so that's why.
yeah. Okay. Awesome. I like those Impossible Burgers. I really do. All right. Toughest opponent in the cast. for a real life round of Game Champ. So not the characters, but the actors. If you were down for a real life game of Game Champ, who would be the toughest opponent?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with oh man, that's a tough one. Maybe Ignacio.
Okay.
He's just a smart kid. He's just a really
Yeah.
he's whip smart, you know. So I'm gonna say maybe him. But I guess it depends. If there's physical challenges,
Okay.
go with someone else. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, he does have that what a burger, what a student thing going on for him. So
What's going
yeah,
on?
that's good stuff. Okay. What award would you, Johnny, give the character of Drea for the wall of accomplishments and praise?
Uh, the best mom around.
Good
I don't.
one. That's a great one. Okay. And last one, we try not to pick favorites, but if you had to give a pitch for Uncle Rolly as the favorite uncle, you're kind of campaigning, what would your pitch be?
Um, let's see. My pitch for Rolly would be he is a he's a fighter with a heart of gold.
I
That
love it.
stands up for what he believes in because at the end of the day, family is everything.
I think that's accurate. I love it. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. I've really been looking forward to it, and I just had a really good time talking about the show. So,
Really, Tracy, thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
yeah, awesome. Well, you take care.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you.